Need some help today. I got a buddy traveling to Baltimore, and I want you guys to let me know what's the best pizza spot in the city. He needs some recommendations. That's why I'm going to the Flock. Comment it down below, and we'll get started with today's video. Should Baltimore trade for Maxx Crosby? Should they make a giant move, take a giant risk, and trade for the edge rusher out of Las Vegas? We're talking about that on today's show. Welcome in, everybody. I am your host, Joey Petersen. Let's talk about some recent non-draft day trades the Baltimore Ravens have made, because for the most part, they've been pretty, I don't want to say boring, but haven't done a ton, right? The Roquan Smith one in 2022 from the Bears was massive. Calais Campbell, great trade. Yannick Ngakoue, you didn't have him long. He wasn't that great in Baltimore. Then Marcus Peters, great trade from the Saints. And then you kind of go back to 2010 with Anquan Boldin. From the last time, this team really made a giant splash. And I tell you what, at the top of all of those would be Mr. Maxx Crosby. And the reason we're talking about this is because within the last week, Maxx Crosby's kind of talked about his future with Las Vegas, and it seems a little iffy. He said, we're going to see what happens with the coaching situation. I have been with the Raiders for 6 years. I'm currently under contract, but I think you know, I talked about it before. I have no guaranteed money left. There are a lot of things that need to be discussed. We are going to do that. And we've talked about Maxx Crosby on this channel before, but we talked about it in the light of he was always saying, I'm going to be a Raider for life. And that quote there kind of makes me feel like the sentiment might have changed just a little bit because of the lack of stability in Las Vegas his entire career there. I got a couple reasons why it could happen. Number one, the Ravens need an edge rusher, okay? I think you saw it, part two right there. Part of the reason you lost in the playoffs was because of the lack of pressure you were able to put on Josh Allen. He got to stand there in the pocket all day, pat, deliver a strike all day long, okay? Maxx Crosby does not let quarterbacks do that. Plain and simple. Let's talk about Las Vegas in this matter, though, because it takes two to tango. They have a new head coach and a new GM. They could want to rebuild. They also could be in the position where, like, you know what? Let's just tear it down. Let's get good draft picks, and let's rebuild. And if so, if that's what they're doing, then this is a splash I would love to see Baltimore make, okay? Who cares? Do it. I know you got to trade a lot to get him. I know you got to send some draft picks, but a guy like Maxx Crosby is not available every once in a while. He's not available. He's like, Maxx Crosby's don't grow on trees, okay? He's one of the best edge rushers in the National Football League, debatably the best edge rusher in the National Football League, and in my opinion, edge rusher is the biggest thing of need going into this offseason. So make a move. Okay, what say you guys, though? Should the Ravens trade for Maxx Crosby? You guys let me know in the comment section down below by typing Y for yes or typing in for no if you don't think so. You're about to get hit with a YouTube ad break. Don't worry about it. Scroll down the comment section. This comment will be pinned at the top, and go ahead and reply with a yes or no. So some masking statistics, because if you just look at it and you just look up sacks and you just look up sack percentage, you're probably thinking to yourself and saying out loud, Joey, what the hell are you talking about, right? From the team sacks, this team was still second with 54 total. From the sack percentage, they was 7.7%. That's fifth. Kyle Van Noy, Dafe, both of those guys were double-digit sack guys. But it's when you dive into it a little bit deeper that you see where they struggled, okay? Their pass rush win rate was only 33%. That was 29th best in the National Football League. The run-stop win rate, 29%, 26th best. Quarterback pressure rate was 25th best. Time to pressure was dead last in the National Football League. And you'd be adding a guy in Maxx Crosby who threw 12 games this season, had 45 tackles, 17 for loss, 7.5 sacks, 20 quarterback hits, and 5 pass breakups. Maxx Crosby is just one of those guys, okay, that the second he's available, you drop everything, you trade everything to get him on your team. Because when you look at the last 4 years for Mad Max, okay, 45 tackles this year. We already talked about that. But the 3 prior, when he played full seasons, 90 tackles, 80 tackles, 55 tackles, 14 and a half sacks, 12 and a half sacks, 8 sacks. He's been an absolute menace. And the sentiment coming from him seems like he's ready for a change in Las Vegas. And again, I talked about it just a little bit ago. But in my opinion, edge is my number one thing for this offseason, the biggest need for Baltimore. I think it's edge rusher, okay? And you're not going to find many more like him. So coming up, let's look at the financial sides of things, because unfortunately, it's not just one of those things that you can say, bam, let's make it happen. It's not the MLB. Money actually exists in the National Football League. Speaking of the National Football League, we got a big game coming up, and if you guys want to go get tickets, you should look at our friends at GameTime, because today's show is sponsored by GameTime. It's playoff time, and I can promise you there's nothing that can quite compare to the rush and excitement you feel watching your team in a playoff game, either at home or on the road. And if you want to have that memory for the rest of your life, that's where GameTime can help out. The connection you feel to your team, city, and fellow fans around you in those electric playoff environments leads to bonds that last a lifetime. GameTime has an awesome feature. It's called GameTime Picks, and that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. GameTime Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so that way you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. The tool highlights the best deals, including great and amazing deals, and which are the highest value seats at the time. For some events, GameTime Picks also identifies what they call a super deal, which is the best seat value in the venue. And guys, when you get one of these super deals, I promise you, you do not want to let it slip away. I love using GameTime because, I'm not going to lie to you, sometimes I can be a bit frugal. A lot of people call me cheap. I prefer frugal, but what I love about GameTime is they give you the lowest price guarantee, and it's the only place I go when trying to get tickets to any sporting event, any theater show, any comedy, anything you want right there on GameTime. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with GameTime. Download the GameTime app, create an account, redeem code ChatSports for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code CHATSPORTS for $20 off. The link to this promo is in the comments and description of today's video. Download GameTime today. What time is it? It's game time. So let's talk about Crosby's contract, because not going to lie to you folks, it's a big one. As it should be. He's a big-time player. This year is a $30 million cap hit with a $24.5 million base salary. Next year is going to be a $28.2 million cap year. Final year after that goes down to $24.8 million cap hit with an $18.8 and a $22.2 million base. And let's talk financials on Baltimore's side. Only $13.83 million in cap space. But I think that can change, because in my mind and in my opinion, there's a couple of guys that I believe Baltimore should be looking or could be looking to restructure their deals to open up some of that cap space. It seems probable that they're not going to move on from Mark Andrews. If they would have traded or if they would have cut him before the season, they would have saved $11 million. I don't think they're going to do that. John Harbaugh doesn't think they're going to do that, so they're probably not going to do that. But Lamar Jackson, Mark Andrews, both of those guys, in my opinion, are guys that Eric DeCosta and this front office can be looking at and should be looking at to restructure their deals. It's done all the time. It happened to Roquan Smith, Justin Tucker before the season to open up just a little bit more cap room to finally get a guy possibly like Maxx Crosby in here that you can pay. And speaking of paying guys, they got a lot of people they might need to pay, right? We talked about Ronnie Stanley. We talked about our Darius Washington. Tylan Wallace is up in a free agent. So is Patrick McCarry. But I'm going to talk about Ronnie Stanley for a second, because if you trade for Crosby, okay, I think it's time to say goodbye to Ronnie. I think you'd have to say goodbye to Ronnie. Ronnie's going to get somewhere around $20 million in this offseason. And if you take on Maxx Crosby's contract, you will not be able to pay him. And he is the highest valued left tackle on the market in free agency. He will get scooped up by somebody. I don't care if he's had an injury history. I don't care if he's 30. He will. But if I had to choose between re-signing Ronnie Stanley at $20 million a year, that's left hand, that's angel on my shoulder, or devil on my shoulder, that's saying don't re-sign him and trade for Crosby, Ronnie Stanley will be seeing you, okay? Ultimately, I don't think the Ravens do it, though, okay? I think that they've got too much money committed to too many people. They got too many people like a Tyler Linderbaum, like a Kyle Hamilton, that will need to be getting paid sometime soon. Would not be surprised if those contract extensions start a year early this offseason. I just don't think they're going to have the money to do it, okay? I would love if they did it. I would love if they said, you know what? Screw the draft. We're going to give our first rounder. We're going to give our second rounder. And hell, we'll pair somebody else with that as well to get Crosby in the building because I think he's worth that. Okay, I think something needs to change from last season to next one. I think he should be that change, but unfortunately, I don't think Baltimore thinks the same. So what's the percent chance of the Ravens trade for Crosby? Let me know in the comment section down below. Scale it 1, meaning not going to happen, 100, meaning 100% chance. Tell me how confident you are down below. It's been an awesome week right here on the Ravens Rundown. I'm so appreciative to every single one of you guys. Wish we had playoff football to watch together this weekend. We don't. That's okay. We'll be back live on Tuesday. Got videos for you guys coming out this weekend. Y'all enjoy them. We'll see you next time.